Hey guys, what's up? It's Josh Mall, the voice for swimming pool science, and I apologize. This video is going to look a little scrappy because I don't have time to do all the setup production, but we're doing a pretty big project today. We are going to be installing not a Pentair Master Temp 400, but a Pentair Ultra Temp ETI hybrid heater. It's got a Master Temp 300 built into it, plus a heat pump, so it runs on gas and electric, and we are going to put it right here. We're also going to be installing a new Pentair Easy Touch automation system on this wall. And what that's going to allow us to do is go from having two separate sets of equipment on this system for the pool and the spa, which are over here. There's your spa, there's your pool. So if you can't see, spa's right there. So we can actually run all this off of one set of equipment because the electronic valve actuators will switch over between pool and spa. We just have to be careful not to do spillover or spa drain because it'll overflow one or the other. So things are going to get vastly simplified back here. We got a lot of work to do, so we're going to try and let you guys follow along with us. So one of the first challenges we have is getting our power, our new source of power, over to the pool equipment. So here's where our new source of power is. We'll be coming out of a 60 amp breaker out of here with 220. We've got to get out of this equipment area and into our trench, which is going to be 18 or 20 inches deep. Come out of here, we got to run straight across over here, and we got to go under the footing here, and that will bring us to getting our where our panel's going to mount on this wall. Our ETI unit, I'm either going to mount it, run it this way, so long ways going this way. That'll put my plumbing out that way. That'll put gas out right here in that same spot, so the gas will come off of here, and it's gonna have to run this way and go in, so we may have to do some plumbing underground to get this moved where it needs to go. That's our heater loop. Or I may actually put it this way, and then we'll move this underground and then do something a little bit different. So I'll figure that out as soon as we get that unit in and we start playing with that and futzing it around. But we got gas to connect, we'll have electrical to connect, we got plumbing to connect to get this thing all fired up and done. And then we got a fair amount of work to do over here. In the meantime, I've got to measure up for electrical conduit, make sure we got enough stuff because we got to run some big wires to get from that panel over there to where this new panel is going to be right here. When you have this many electrical components going to one place, you got to have big wires to conduct all that electricity. We're using pretty heavy stuff here today. Number 2 wires for our power, number 4 for our common. We always use a licensed qualified electrician for work this big. This isn't just switching out an outlet. Per code, the trench we're digging for this electrical line has to be 18 inches deep. And we have got a lot of pipes under this yard here. This is something we would have loved to bring a trencher in for this stretch, but it was just too risky with all these pipes running through here to use something like that. As you can see, it's a good thing we didn't use a trencher. Being that it's winter lawn season here in Arizona, we're using garbage bags to put our dirt on. What's cool about this is that it'll make it real easy to separate our dirt from our trench from the lawn. And if we're careful, we can reuse these garbage bags for actual garbage. The old electrical that we're going to pull out and replace was a combination of mechanical time clocks and the old X10 control system, which take up a lot of room, a lot of boxes, a lot of wires, a lot of connections, lots of room for failure. So we're going to simplify that with the new Pentair control system. As our electricians make progress with the trench, we're going to go ahead and get rid of the old stuff. Plan is to install a new composite pad for the new heating system to sit on, and we got to level the ground out a little bit and make sure that everything's firmly packed, leveled out, so that that new pad doesn't do any settling, which can cause the unit to become uneven and cause a breakage in the plumbing down the road. We also need to measure and make sure that our unit is going to be properly spaced against the wall per the factory settings so that it can breathe.
Oh! You may have to move this, Josh.
I'll move it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so everything's
So here's the old electrical line that was done 22 years ago, and it's about 22 years ago I remember, because I remember seeing this pool to bid it when they redid the whole thing years ago. It was about 22 years ago. It was 1998 or so. And you can see how where that tape opens up, and there's a perforation in this tape that's here to protect this. That opens up, I mean, it just starts to rust away, and eventually you'd have a hole here, and then what happens is that moisture gets inside the pipe, and it rots it and the wires from the inside out. You can see kind of on these wires right here, those wires were they had some moisture in there, and of course, you know, this plastic insulation tends to last a long time, but eventually that'll fail too, especially as this flexes and the wires move and they rub against each other, and then that insulation wears off, and then you have an internal short underground. So best we go with plastic, because we all know that plastic takes millions of years to biodegrade. As we lay in our electrical conduit, we're constantly thinking about how we can make it easier to pull the wires through, because on a 40-foot run like this, that's relatively short, but one little hang up and we've got big problems and we're not able to get the wire through. We're using as few fittings as possible, and in places where the conduit needs a little bit of a bend, we'll use a torch to heat it to just over 150 degrees so it becomes flexible like a wet noodle, and that avoids one extra fitting where our wires could hang up. Okay, let's drop it in. Can you grab that other end over there and make sure it goes where we want it to go? We've also laid our pipes so that the wires get pulled through towards the bell end female fitting versus towards the male fitting, as the wire could get hung up on the male fitting side going through the fitting. Just like gluing any plumbing joint together, it's important to get an ample amount of glue. Here we're not using any primer because this plumbing's not going to be under any kind of pressure. It's just conduit. All right, so we have our electrical conduit all run into our panel where we're going to tap power out of. Had to do a little bit of bending and twisting and heat gun action to get it around some stuff. Punched a pretty big hole in the wall. I know some of you guys, some of you armchair quarterbacks are saying, why didn't you just use an 1.5-inch hammer drill? Well, because it was block and it was super close here to where it terminates with the other wall, and it was going to blow out anyway. And I had a big ass chipping hammer and not a pneumatic zip gun, which would have been the ideal tool for that. But nothing a little patching and painting won't fix, so we'll take care of that. So running down around through our LB right here, so this allows us to make a tight turn and gives us a little more room to run the wire through, and then we close that up. Come flush straight down through here, down through our pipe. Back up through here, up the wall right there where we are gonna mount our Pentair Easy Touch panel. Now, in some cases, the brass electrical conduit that's over here would be run directly into this box. That is a case where it is so important to make sure that this Pentair panel is above water level. I've got a friend that's got a pool where they did not mount his box above water level. They ran the brass conduits directly in to use this as the J-box, and guess what? He had his spa draining through his Pentair Easy Touch panel, and he had to spend an arm and a leg to have the whole thing raised up on the wall. But this box is going to mount right there, and that's our next job.
What's that noise?
It's the GoPro camera.
Oh my god.
To prepare our big wire for this long pull, we're going to stretch it all the way out and unwind it, make sure it's all nice and straight and lined out, so we don't have to worry about any kind of tangles or snags as we're trying to pull it through our conduit.
Okay, hang on a second. Let me straighten this mess out here. Okay, let's try that. I actually got a rag for myself. Okay, hang on a second.
Wire pulling like this is definitely a two-man job. You need one guy pushing the wire through on one end and the other guy on the other side pulling your fish tape the other way so that you keep neutral pressure all the way through. What's that? No, I need a little more. All right, cool. That's that'll do it. That's plenty here. Now that we have enough wire pulled through to our Pentair box, care and time are going to be taken in order to make the proper connections here. A loose connection means excess heat buildup and damage to the box and possibly a fire. So we want to make sure and get this part right. Now that we're securely connected on the box end, we're ready for phase 2. We hope you found this video interesting and informative. If you have any feedback, please leave it in the comments and don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you in part 2.